My mom took my entire wedding savings without asking. $60,000 gone. When I confronted her, she said I was being dramatic. But when the IRS audit letter arrived at her door, everything changed. Because some of those account numbers they were asking about, they were mine. My name's Kelsey Morgan, and I'm 32 years old. I work as a dental hygienist in a small private clinic. I'm not flashy, I'm steady. I've always believed in saving first and spending later. For 5 years, I put money aside for my wedding. Extra shifts, skipped vacations, packed lunches instead of eating out. My fiance and I dreamed about a simple outdoor ceremony. Nothing huge, just meaningful. My mom runs a small event decor business. She's charismatic, persuasive, and always talking about her next big opportunity. Growing up, she was the center of attention. I was the responsible one, the quiet helper. I wasn't rich or glamorous, but I had something they didn't expect. I kept detailed financial records, separate accounts, written agreements, screenshots of everything. When mom said she needed temporary help covering a vendor deposit and promised to repay me within a month, I hesitated. But she said, "Don't you trust your own mother?" I transferred the money. 3 months later, my wedding account balance was zero, and she was posting photos of a luxury business expo in Vegas. If you've ever sacrificed for years just to see someone else treat it like nothing, subscribe. Do you know what it feels like when a family calls betrayal support? Tell me below. I'm listening. Click hype because this gets worse. I confronted her at the family dinner table. "When are you paying me back?" Mom laughed lightly. "Once this expansion takes off." I said, "My venue deposit is due next month." She replied sharply, "You're young, you can postpone it." Then she announced to the entire table of relatives, "She's stressing over one little delay like it's the end of the world." My aunt chimed in, "Weddings are overrated anyway." I felt small, but stayed calm. Later, I checked business registration records and noticed irregularities. Vendors were complaining online about unpaid invoices. I texted mom, "Are you behind on taxes?" She fired back, "Mind your business." 1 week later, a certified letter arrived at her house from the IRS requesting documentation for income discrepancies and expense claims. Mom called me in a panic. "They're auditing me." I felt the shift instantly because I recognized some of those account numbers listed in the notice, my account numbers. Mom insisted the IRS letter was random selection. She said, "You're not involved." I quietly compared reported business loans with my own transfer receipts. Then she started telling relatives I pressured her for money and caused all this stress. My cousin said, "Why are you threatening your own mom over cash?" I replied, "It's not cash, it's 5 years of my life." A few days later, mom asked me to sign a statement claiming the $60,000 was an investment in the business. "It'll smooth things over," she said. I stared at the document. "You reported it as a business expense?" Mom avoided eye contact. "It was temporary." I realized the money wasn't just borrowed, it was misreported to reduce taxable income. I refused to sign. Mom whispered, "If this goes south, we both get dragged into it." I answered quietly, "No, just the one who lied." The IRS scheduled a formal review meeting. Tension hung in the air like a storm waiting to break. What mom didn't know was that I ran an anonymous personal finance blog. For 3 years, I wrote about budgeting, debt traps, and financial boundaries with family. My platform had grown quietly, thousands of followers. I earned side income through affiliate partnerships and online workshops. I had a plan they never saw coming. I documented my own savings journey publicly, without using names. I had time-stamped posts about transferring $60,000 as a temporary family loan, screenshots, bank confirmations, email promises from mom. My digital paper trail was airtight. I also had a small emergency fund my fiance didn't even know about yet. Mom thought I was naive with money. In reality, I taught others how to protect theirs. My cousin Jenna, the family's black sheep, never trusted the business. She privately told me, "I've seen unpaid vendor messages." Jenna forwarded screenshots of mom asking others for short-term loans. A pattern was emerging. Jenna agreed to attend the IRS meeting as emotional support. Meanwhile, mom grew defensive and erratic. She pressured me daily. "If you cooperate, this disappears." I calmly replied, "Truth doesn't disappear." The IRS auditor requested documentation of loan agreements and income classification. Mom realized she couldn't produce formal contracts. Family members began whispering. Mom still believed I would protect her because I always had before. She underestimated my boundaries. The audit meeting date approached. Silence hung heavy in the house. The air felt thick with unspoken accusations. I packed my documents into a neat folder and waited. The meeting took place in a small conference room. The IRS auditor sat across the table. Mom tried to present the $60,000 as a capital contribution. The auditor asked, "Do you have signed investment agreements?" Silence. I spoke calmly. "I have written proof it was a temporary personal loan for 1 month." I presented printed emails, transfer receipts, and time-stamped blog entries. The auditor reviewed the documents carefully. "Ma'am, this was reported as a deductible business expense." Mom's face went pale. The auditor explained penalties for misclassification and potential fraud implications. Mom turned to me. "Why would you bring all that?" I answered softly, "Because it's my name tied to this." The auditor clarified I wasn't liable due to documented loan status and my refusal to sign false statements. Business accounts were flagged for repayment and penalties. Mom realized her attempt to manipulate taxes had backfired completely. The power dynamic flipped. For the first time, Mom looked small, not powerful. I didn't gloat. I simply protected myself. Mom entered a repayment plan with penalties and restructured her business. Our relationship became distant but calmer. Clear boundaries now existed. I used my emergency fund and blog income to rebook a smaller, intimate wedding. It was simpler but more peaceful. I updated my blog with a new post about financial boundaries with family, without naming names. My audience grew even more. I no longer felt guilty for choosing accountability. She thought my savings were hers to use. In the end, the only thing I protected wasn't the money, it was my name. If a family member ever treated your hard-earned savings like their backup plan, you know that pain. Have you ever been pressured to help in ways that crossed the line? Share your story below. I'm listening. Subscribe if you believe boundaries matter, even with family. Click hype to help this story reach others who need it. Thank you for watching. If my story touched you, a like would mean the world. To help others find this story, click hype. I always read the comments, so feel free to share a piece of your story with us.